So if we take this down from like baseline level,
Yeah.
you're probably aware of CVEs for everyone who's not. It's the common vulnerability enumeration. It's the way that we get consistency amongst vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
And they're all assessed against a score. And to a lot of people, they might not realize that something that is a critical, a high, medium, or a low, those scores are calculated in the same way.
Okay.
So they all come across the same. For example, if we look at a vulnerability and we look at how can that vulnerability be exploited? Is that over a network? Do you have to be on a parallel network? Do you have to be on a local network, or physically on the device itself?
Mm-hmm.
These are all things that you can select that will adjust the score of something. So if you're looking at a perfect 10 vulnerability, there's two perfect 10 vulnerabilities.
Yep.
The calculation for that and the elements that make it a 10 are going to be very, very similar, if not the same, because the calculation is set in stone. As long as you put the parameters in the right way, a score is output in that sense.
Yep.
So that's what a CVSS score essentially is. You are getting a score based on the parameters of how that vulnerability works.
Yep.
That is the metric and the baseline for how we all assess vulnerabilities. But what changes from that? So if we take, for example, let's say you're an organization that really focuses on availability instead of things like confidentiality. Your business, you don't care about the information itself, just that the service has to be available.
Yep.
If you adjust the metrics within that CVSS calculator and say that, well, my availability is not impacted at all, but confidentiality and integrity would, as a business, confidentiality and integrity is fine. If it gets lost, we're losing like data that doesn't really matter to us.
Yeah.
That vulnerability is scored higher than a vulnerability that would be calculated with your availability being absolutely, but none of your confidentiality and integrity being affected.
Yes.
It is much easier to demonstrate on like the calculator seeing it in front of us.
Yeah.
But the point being, from a business perspective, one of those vulnerabilities is rated much higher from a baseline perspective of just the scoring. But to the business, you don't care about the thing that's confidentiality and integrity because your business doesn't hold any data that you care about losing. But the availability of that platform is massive.